S.T.I.C.S-Poets. I can't draw. I purposely dropped my fridge poetry in a bucket filled with different colors. So, welcome to my live exhibition. Watch me paint masterpieces with my words. Connect sentences to prove that an artist's work isn't always hidden beneath a canvas. I paint for those who can't see, for we're living in an era where people won't take their time to learn to admire aesthetics but love to draw attention. Correction. If you didn't know that, I'm telling you that my core purpose is directed, like Spike behind the camera, or like Bruce in front of it. Either way, I'll lean, scream, tell Edward I met a new monk. The persistence of memory caught me thinking about how I spend my time with myself. Of course I can draw. Crowds. To listen to my voice as if it were their own consciousness. Speaking in words written in bold. Chivalry is dead, but the ice cream in my hand that tastes so good is still cold. Paint brushes are filled with pain, brushed and dusted off. Imagine if I was a man who stuttered really bad. Not a single word would have been recognized, let alone having anyone ever know how I really am inside lonely. Lonely as the mockingbird's child when mother had to fly away to find food. They laugh, giggle as I walk between them. If the life of Moses had inspired their lives and they were seen as baby pharaohs just waiting to be given power. I'm thankful that I can draw. For I don't know what I would have done if my voice had been done. I've heard too many poems and musical pieces about guns, but guns don't kill people. People. Structural racism does. At least it could. For some. Others get mad. At least it seems like it really gets to them. Really bad. There's no time for you to let your painting dry. Exhibitions are my playground. So don't look so surprised when I inform you that this is my first time. Angry photographers snap a lot of pictures. And when I'm sad, I cut myself. Another piece of cake. Tell me, is it really that wrong? So, truth searchers write a lot on scrolls measured in millis, centi, and even kilometers. So criticize what you wish and be mesmerized by my wits. But I still can't stand how their minds won't sit down next to me on the train. Here's a thought. If responding to someone who says hello with a smile suddenly was to become a law, would you take the fine? Go straight to jail and not collect 200 potential paintings that may have a worthiness that even may interest the blind. The type that not even the bank would see. My street art is live in concert on every pavement I've ever walked on. Try me, stop me, ask me to show you my art. For I have adjusted my boundaries. You tell me to draw the way that you draw, and I tell you that I am capable of drawing. Just not the way that you draw. I mean, sure, I can find ways to present a piece, but I bet that someone would rather spend more time looking at yours than mine, so I speak. Reach into these kids' minds as they all think that they are all so free. What amazes a child, a grown man takes for granted. Fact. And what problems you and old neighboring granny spends the few awakened hours of hers to laugh at. I can't touch poetry, but poetry can touch me. It's an expression. That's why my secrets aren't really explained, but need to be observed as a craft that must contain more secrets. Try to understand and give value to that which is right in front of you. It's an art. For you who seems to speak very well, it's an art. For you who can cook the bittersweet, it's an art. For you who see other people's shoes and know how to walk in them despite the size of your own feet, it's an art. It's beautiful. That's why it isn't a coincidence that they named having a skill in art. Think about it. For everything else, I rationalize it. But this comes right from my heart. My art's from the heart, so my heart will always write for the art. Thank you.
I cannot draw. To be honest, I can't really draw either. And I think this poem really got me into the notion of thinking about, this whole theme of skills.
Yeah.
And in an extremely broad sense, because, a lot of the times we consider the things that we know ourselves as less valuable somehow. I just know a lot of my friends and people that I've seen who are amazing at things, like incredible. They can do all kinds of different stuff, and they're like, yeah, I've done this ever
But
since.
because
I was
you're
younger.
you're so focused in your own world, sometimes I have this thing, like I want to be perfect or not, like really good at everything that I put my attention towards, or the focus towards. Like when I play football, I want to be a really good football player, the best on the team, and I've never been the best at anything, which has always bothered me. Like I've never been able to have the skill sets that I wanted. But when I take it into a different context, you realize that you have an incredible amount of skills that other people don't have, but it's just you don't put the value on it in the same way that they do.
It's kind of like some kind of like superhero or some kind of like X-Men of some sort, that they're born with this gift or talent, or call it what you want. They've been doing it for such a long time, so they've been developing it to a point where now it's just a part of their daily lives. Like they've managed to incorporate it in a way that's so extremely natural, whether it's towards a specific job or towards how you live your daily life or whatever it is, but it just becomes such an integral part of you that you don't even notice it.
Exactly.
And then once other people can start talking to you, they're like, how are you doing this? Like, where did you get this from?
Yeah.
And I think it really is that junction between people, where you realize, like, hey, this is actually valuable somehow.
Those are generational skills. I think that they're skill sets that you expect a certain generation to have. For example, technology, right? Like, these things. Like, you do the social media
Like
management.
you would never ask somebody like, hey, do you know how to send an email?
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean? Can you SMS me?
Yeah.
But it really, it's true what you're saying as well. It's I think like our skills as human beings, specifically just living in this kind of context of like a Western technology-driven society, like we accumulate skills along the way that we're kind of like, whatever. Oh, a little bit of programming. Who doesn't know that? I mean, a little bit of this. Of course, certain things that maybe certain individuals take for granted, other people are like, wow, why would you ever put time into doing that?
It's a different lane of, what is the right word? Informal learning, like things that you just pick up during your life.
But things that can develop into a certain skill set that you can use for a professional work, and that's what I find most interesting. Is a lot of the times people will be developing these skills in a way where they're like, oh, I've just done this for such a long time. I enjoy doing this. I have enjoyed doing this for such a long time, so that now I can use it professionally.
Yeah.
That for me is like the epitome of, this kind of mindset that this is who I am. I just happen to develop it to a point where I live off of my skill set.
I guess that's ultimately like where you want to be as an artist, as a poet, as any person of a skill set that you're dreaming of to be your livelihood, perhaps.
Or even not. I mean, there are even people that are, or put in this way instead, you become good at whatever you spend time at. Like you can see people who perhaps are doing what you would consider maybe a simple job. They make juice and they sell juice. But the way that they make that juice, the way that they're like mixing it together, like you can't deny that like you can't deny the fact that is a skill. That is a skill in itself. You see so many people that they've been doing the same thing day in and day out, and if you do the same thing day in and day out for some odd years, you will become a master at it. And for me, like that shows the plasticity of how we are as human beings and what we can how good we are at adapting. For me, that's the miracle in this kind of theme that, you know, we all have these superpowers that are these potentials that are just laying there within us. It's within our essence.
Questions becomes then whether or whether or not we put enough value on these skill sets.
We don't.
Yeah.
We don't, and that's the point in itself. Is that for one, we don't see them. A lot of times we don't even see them at first. And when we do see them, we kind of think that but whatever. Like I can do this. Is it really such a big deal?
Yeah.
And you know, there are a lot of different phases of this skill development that I think is interesting. And you know, we all get caught in different parts, and we all move up and down. Like it's very fluid, so to speak. But definitely, like we're all basically walking around with superpowers that we're not aware of somehow.
Which superpowers do you have that you're not aware of?
Like obviously, this is just what we think. We absolutely want to know what is going through your mind. Leave us some comments. We'll continue the conversation in the comment section, and we'll be back for more. This is S.T.I.C.S.